Welcome. The purpose of these lessons is to examine themes that are present within literature, science, theology, and other disciplines, and then apply it to the story of AlanWake. Using this method, we can allow for a better understanding of the characters, universe, and lore found within the game. Since AlanWake was released in 2010 by Remedy Entertainment, the most common reaction to the ending that I have heard is, "So what happened?" As alluded to in the opening scene, the player walks away with many unanswered questions. Being caught up in the mystery of a narrative only makes the final reveal that much more satisfying. So what happens when the ending doesn't tie up the loose ends and literally concludes with a question and an ellipses? Rather than focus on what happened, let us begin by investigating the mechanisms at play within the fiction. Understanding how a fictional universe functions is critical to understanding the lore. AlanWake is, at its core, a story about artistic creation. So first we must examine the nature of an artist's mind and the act of creation itself. In order to assist in this pursuit, we will seek the counsel of a poet. One definition of an act of creation is defined as the act of bringing the world into an ordered existence. This mostly refers to an act of universal creation. The concept of creation I want to focus on is expressed by the Roman poet Ovid in lines 5 through 9 of his first book of Metamorphoses. In it, Ovid states that chaos came before creation. Unlike some theologies that describe the creation as ex nihilo, out of nothing, Ovid describes a different state of being. His definition of chaos refers to the sum total of all matter in the universe disconnected from one another. Imagine if all subatomic particles in the universe were disjointed, having not yet bonded to create the very first atom. This is his description of chaos. To help visualize this, think of a nebula before and after the process of forming into a planetary system. A cloud of dust and gas that slowly condenses and forms into astral bodies is a version of this creation. In this instance, the act of creation would be to bring the chaos of the world into an ordered existence, or to abkeo. So what is the mechanism that facilitates this creation? A good scientific discipline that deals with this phenomenon is called cymatics. Cymatics, whose root is derived from the word for wave in Greek, is the study of visible sound and deals with the phenomenon where liquid or particles will align into geometric shapes when exposed to a specific harmonic tone. Usually, this is achieved by placing particles like fine sand or powder on a surface and using a harmonic frequency to cause the surface and the particles to resonate. The German musician and physicist Ernst Chladni was able to uncover dozens of patterns that changed based upon the frequency of the tone and shape of the surface. These images became known as Chladni figures. To tie this concept into our definition of creation, the sand would be the disjointed components, and the sound would be the mechanism that brings order from chaos. Various cultures describe the creator as speaking, singing, or intoning the universe into existence. One popular example of this in fiction is in C.S. Lewis's The Magician's Nephew. When Diggory, Polly, Uncle Andrew, and others first arrived in the universe that would eventually become Narnia, it was nothing but darkness. Queen Jadis even comments that this is an empty world. This is nothing. Within that chaos lay the seeds of creation. The universe remained this way until a voice began to sing. In the darkness, something was happening at last. A voice had begun to sing. It was very far away, and Diggory found it hard to decide from which direction it was coming. Sometimes it seemed to come from all directions at once. Sometimes he almost thought it was coming out of the earth beneath them. Its lower notes were deep enough to be the voice of the earth herself. There were no words. There was hardly even a tune. But it was, beyond comparison, the most beautiful noise he had ever heard. It was so beautiful, he could hardly bear it. Much like in cymatics, the resonance of this singing voice shaped the chaos of this empty world into what would become Narnia. Remember though, if there is a song, there must be a singer. If you had seen and heard it, as Diggory did, you would have felt quite certain that it was the stars themselves which were singing, and that it was the first voice, the deep one, which had made them appear and made them sing. The first voice is the creator. The song is the mechanism that allows his creation, in this case Narnia, to be formed. In this sense, the universe is both formed and held together by the song. This idea closely parallels the Nada Brahma, Nada being a Sanskrit word for sound, while Brahma is the creator god in Hinduism. Translated, this means the sound of God, the sound is God, or the universe is sound. In this example, the chaos state would be the Shunyakasha, and the sound that resonates with matter is the primordial Om. To elaborate on the act of creation, we turn to the book of John, chapter 1, verse 1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Of course, if you want to get more meaning out of this, we should look at the language the New Testament was written in before English, Greek. When we do, we replace word with logos instead. While logos does mean word, it can also be translated as reason, logic, or plan. In this sense, it is not just a word, but a word that conveys a logical intention. This is why many theologies relate that the universe was spoken or sung into existence by their respective creators. A word is a sound that conveys meaning and intention. That intent resonates with the chaos state of matter and forms it into what we experience as the manifest world. This is by purest definition an act of creation. Before addressing how all of these concepts relate to AlanWake, let's recap. All acts of creation consist of 4 parts: the creator, the creation, the method, and the components. For universal creation, the 4 aspects are as follows: the God figure, the universe, the word or cosmic intention, and chaos. For the cymatic creation, the 4 aspects are the musician, the Chladni figure, resonance, and sand. By taking this formula for creation, we can translate it to an act of artistic creation. Being an artist, Alan engages in his own manner of creation. As such, he would be considered the creator of his novels. His creation, within the game, is departure. The method of creation that he utilizes is the written word, or literature. To fill in the last variable, we have a question. Where does the inspiration an artist calls upon for their work reside? It comes from within. Every conscious being has an internal world of chaos called the subconscious. Within the subconscious lives the disjointed thoughts, memories, emotions, regrets, fantasies, and fears that we have attained throughout our entire lives. Alan's gift as a writer stems from his ability to gather these shattered fragments from his subconscious, shape them, and project them into the world so others can experience and enjoy them. Instead of forming a universe from matter, or forming geometric shapes from sand, an artist has the mental fortitude to gather thoughts and emotions to form them into a painting, a sculpture, a poem. The method in which they do so is identical. After all, every artist is the god of their own creation. For now, I will conclude Lesson 1 of AlanWake. In the next lesson, we will analyze Alan's personal subconscious in more detail, using his nightmare in the prologue as a template. See you then.